I promised you pirates, guys. Welcome to another episode of Indiana Jones. Let me get my hat on straight so you can see my beautiful diamond encrusted pin there. We're on a ship, so it's a little sideways. Do you hear the splashing of the water upon the hull of the ship? Do you? Is it too dark? Is there anybody there? I'm sorry that I'm late. I had a few technical difficulties with the camera and, general stuff. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you can hear me okay. I hope there's somebody out there. I'm not going to start with the storytelling until we have a few more people present. Here we go. Can you see my ship in the background here? Ooh, spooky. Oh, I forgot to light the candles. Oh well. Some of them are lit. Some of them aren't. Hi there. Oh, there we go. We got some people on. I'm going to wait until we have at least good day. Good day, matey. Greetings. I'm Captain Jones. Like Davy Jones's locker. Captain Jones. Greetings. Ahoy, mateys. Ahoy. I'm going to try not to wear my glasses tonight because it kind of kills the ambiance. Can you hear the ship sounds in the background? Does it feel like you're on a boat, on a creaky boat? I want to get you guys into the mood. Is it too dark? Is it too dark? Is it too light? Waiting for a few more people. Sorry I was late. I got caught up with a little something. Maybe I'll show you later. Let's just say we have another little guest in the house. Sorry, my throat is parched. My throat is parched. Now I'm not going to read and hi. Who else is there? Jack is here. Great, Jack. How are you doing? Captain Jones here. Is the sound effects too loud or is it perfect? Let me know. You need Dramamine? Nelly. Yes, maybe. Maybe we got a black cat. So I left the camera crooked. I just gave up. So it looks like I'm on a ship. It's perfect. Shiver me timbers. Well, hey, my timbers are fine. Thank you very much. Anyway, I guess we should get started. I have 3 people watching. So let me tell you the background about this story. It's going to take about 25 minutes to read this chapter. Let me look at the camera. So the background to the story is one day I woke up in the middle of the night. This is when the kids were really little. I'm talking about 2006, 2007. And I don't know, for some reason I had this overwhelming need to write this chapter. I hadn't really read the book. This is, if anybody is interested, this is based on Peter Pan. Hence, I am a pirate tonight. I've never been fascinated with the story or anything, but I became obsessed with writing these chapters that I felt needed to be written. So that's what I did. And I ended up with a little over 500-page novel. And I did try to get it out there and get it published, but because it has a perpetual copyright protection and because Disney's involved as well, yeah, you can imagine. So that's why it didn't go much anywhere. Is it too dark? Let me know how you see what you're seeing. So we'll wait a few more minutes and then we'll get started. And again, I have to apologize. It looks good. I have to apologize that I was late, but our little visitor kind of escaped. So we had to save her from the darkness. All right, so I originally called this novel Forever Neverland. It's a continuation. It's not a rewriting. It's just a continuation of the story. And the first chapter is actually a prologue revisiting the original story of Peter Pan, to pay it homage and to try to get you to get your bearings as to where the story left off and where this story is beginning. So, no further ado, I was going to try to read this without my glasses on, but I don't know if that's possible because I am so blind. Let's see. Let's try it. You know, I'm going to try it. So this is the prologue to what I used to call Forever Neverland, but I'll call it for Neverland Legacies for right now because I really don't know what else to call it right now. Let me see what your comments are before I get started. Everybody snuggled up? Lighting is good. Captain Hook is the villain of Peter Pan. I know. And that's where our story begins. Ready? And I'm going to act a little bit out. And I'm sorry if you don't like that. Too bad. Let me see if I can do this without the glasses. All right. Breathe in, breathe out. Prologue, written by me, to hell and back. He felt it the moment he looked in the girl's eyes. The moment he dreaded for so long now loomed before him as simple as a smile on a girl's face. Hook recognized the fear which had gnawed at his insides for an eternity, when death was just a moment away. In her calm grimace, his pride came back to him. "Bully up," he commanded himself. He looked around and watched as the other boys hovered over his crew like stinging wasps. He was sickened at the sight of his men cowering to these boys. When suddenly he heard the crowing high above him, and the sickness turned to disgust. Hook stood ready with his sword in hand to receive Peter's attack. Idiot, he didn't think to grab the girl, but somehow her demeanor prevented the thought earlier. He couldn't stop himself from looking at the girl once again, just to watch as shock and horror stole away that smile from her face. It was then he saw the intensity of her adoration for Peter. She seemed to glow as she watched Peter coming to destroy him. Hook looked back to the skies and saw Peter dart over to him, dagger in hand. Peter shifted in midair, coming at him with his feet. Hook sought higher ground and jumped onto the bulwarks. He balanced on the wooden beam of the Jolly Roger and looked over his shoulder at the beast waiting for him below. Then he witnessed how immense the crocodile was, and the realization made his legs crumble beneath him. Here and now, Hook knew he had seen the devil himself when he looked back at Peter, who glared intently into his eyes. Oh yes, the devil in the shape of a boy, an arrogant and prideful little boy. Hook thought back to Marooners Rock when he had bitten Peter and wondered if Peter had remembered too. There was no victory now in that act. There was only one way Hook could feel some recompense. Go on, boy, he thought to himself, and watched as a wicked grin crept to Peter's lips. Bad form, Hook shouted as Peter kicked him. A small act from a small boy was just enough. Hook wasn't at all surprised that he would do it. He wanted him to, just to prove the boy was as rotten as he was. The moment he looked past his feet to the open mouth of the crocodile below him, he wished he had one more swipe at Peter. Time seemed to slow down so he could see the creature clearly before he fell into its jaws. The croc seemed to grin as she waited for him to drop. The captain's fingers dropped the sword and stretched up to the sky, but his hook was now useless to him, even in his attempt to stir fear in Peter. Hook grunted and shouted profanities while Peter flew effortlessly above, mocking him as he crowed his final victory. Captain screamed at last, "No!" As he plunged, Captain Hook felt the jagged teeth tear through his coat and scrape his skin. He cried out and cursed the beast. He screamed again to Mr. Smee, but there was no reply. Passing through the enormous jaws, he reached out and his hook clung to one of the monster's teeth. Captain Hook noticed it was as large as the spokes from the wheel of the Jolly Roger. Tremors shook his whole body, and his hook clattered against the tooth. He looked below his legs and saw the passageway to the croc's belly. A ticking echoed beneath him. He snarled at the sound, at time itself laughing at him in what were to be his final moments. His rage compelled him to try to cheat death. He drove his fingernails into the crocodile's tongue as he tried to claw his way out. The crocodile's jaws slammed down on Hook in response. Broken. He felt every part of him was broken. But his hook held strong to the tooth, and within a moment Hook found he still had the ability to move. With a good kick to the inside of the jaw, Hook continued to fight to escape. The animal thrashed about, but he clung tight. Water filled the mouth of the crocodile as Hook sputtered and spit insults to the animal. Captain Hook's weapon lost hold at last of the giant tooth as the animal jerked its head. The captain drove his hook into the tongue of the crocodile, letting her know one last time who she was dealing with. But as any female would, she responded by lashing out violently. Hook was jarred inside, tossed about like some useless toy, his head slamming into the giant teeth. He lost his will to fight and closed his eyes as he slid into the bowels of the beast. The putrid air, heavy with rotten flesh, was revolting. Hook's body convulsed at the smell. He opened his eyes, finding he was enveloped in complete darkness. Hook's knees were bent into his chest, and there was no room to breathe. Yet somehow, he was tumbling and rolling in this new home which encapsulated him. A searing pain pierced his eyes the moment he opened them. Something was stinging his arms, his fingers, the parts of his flesh exposed. It was acid, a cold, wet fire which surrounded him. Hell seemed to be no better place to him than Neverland. Hook felt himself sinking deeper and deeper into his inferno. The burning became unbearable, and he tried to scream, to find some comfort in the sound of his own agony as he had found in those of his victims. The stench which surrounded him made him cringe. Hook tightened his lips, fearing he would swallow the disgusting mire in which he lay. An endless ticking tormented his soul, the sound horrifying him still. Needing to console himself, he sought a remnant of who he once was. Every muscle straining, he squeezed his hand across his body to find it, and he fingered the cold steel appendage upon his arm, the hook for which he was named. Captain Hook clenched his teeth as he recalled the situation which put him there, more precisely the person. It was clear the crocodile had swallowed him whole, and he was still alive. The movement stopped abruptly. Hook felt like a babe, swaddled in a blanket of cold reptilian flesh as the crocodile settled. He gloried in the existence of his weapon, caressing it with his fingers. Using the strength of both arms, he thrust it into the belly of the crocodile, driving it up into the gullet. The captain felt the beast awaken as he tore through the soft inner tissue. The open cavity allowed him to take a breath as he drove the hook into her belly once more, ripping through the tough outer skin. Water flooded into the croc's dying body while the creature attempted to save herself, lashing about, trying to escape the pain from within. There, from the bowels of the monster, bore something more fearsome than the crocodile itself. He emerged from a cloud of ooze, decorated with bile and blood. Captain Hook kicked away the carcass as he struggled to reach the surface. The moon hovered above the lagoon, guiding him to life once more. He clawed upward as water rushed into his mouth and settled in his lungs. The blue of his eyes became one with the lagoon as they closed, and he surrendered to fate. He thought madness had overtaken him as he heard voices singing, the melody tormenting him as the ticking had before. Hands were all around him. They grasped at his arms, pulling him upwards. Fingers caressed his lips, closing them shut. This deliverance from hell was now at the hand of these angels. No longer a victim of the sea, he broke through the waves to the surface. A crowing far in the distance compelled him to take his first breath. He thrashed in the dark waters and reached a rock which jutted above the waters. Breathless, he crawled onto it and clung to the stone. He watched the shadows flying away high above him. Children's laughter flooded the skies, insulting him with their sounds of joy. What happened, he wondered. It had only been moments ago. Pan, the boys, and the girl. He heard the twittering of the girls' laughter surround him. Peter had never been more brazen. That miserable boy, he thought. It was enough he cut off his hand, but now to inflict death upon him, a dishonorable one, and for what? That girl? He remembered it all, and it was very clear to him who was truly to blame for his demise. He looked up to the moon and growled, Wendy. So that's it, guys. What did you all think? I'm going to invite you in so you guys can tell me your thoughts. You know, you can be honest if you liked it, if it was too much, it was, not enough. Again, this is the prologue. There's over, oh God, how many chapters? I think there's 24 chapters, if I'm not mistaken. No, 40 chapters. 40. 500 pages of stuff that I have to edit. But so come on, join me. Who liked it? Who listened? Who didn't? Who could care less? There we go. You will just chat on YouTube. Okay. Nobody liked it. What happened? My camera. I had to change cameras. So now I'm on this camera. So now I need some lighting. Hold on. Hey, Leah. Did you just get here, Leah? You just missed the whole thing, Leah. All right. Now we got some lighting. What'd y'all think? Was it that bad? You can tell me the truth. Be honest. You loved it. Well, thank you. Who wants to be my co-host? Philly, Julie? Anybody? Now let me explain again. It was a good story. Thank you. I had never even read Peter Pan, but this chapter came to my mind and I couldn't go to sleep until I wrote it down. It went through a lot of edits, but this was basically, as original as it gets, there. And I don't know. And I continued writing and writing and writing. And it's basically Wendy is now like 19, 20 years old. She's in the midst of war. The First World War has taken over, and her brothers aren't truly lost boys now. She's working as a nurse, and she's suddenly brought back into Neverland to do one thing and one thing only. So cool. I'm glad you liked it. Can you say "arr" like a pirate? Arr! How is that? I'm glad you liked it. Nobody wants to chat with me. I'm sorry I don't have a craft, but I consider art, writing as a craft.
Was there anything you would change? Was there anything you didn't understand? Did it make sense that this is not from the original story, but a continuation of what happened? Because in the original story, all we see is that Peter kicks Captain Hook and he falls into the crocodile. But all of this detail of Captain Hook's point of view, and I like to write it from Captain Hook's point of view in a way. So, and my biggest problem with the book itself is everybody wanted me to write it in first person, and I wrote it in third person because as an observer, I would tell you what was happening to different people in the story. I look weird as a pirate with glasses on. You can't even see my hair, it's so dark. You like the continuation? Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. Yeah, Wendy comes back to Neverland, but it's not a good thing. I hate to tell you this, but I hated the movie Hook. I did not like the movie Hook at all because, I don't know, Captain Hook was a pretty intelligent, he wasn't an idiot, you know, and they kind of made him like a bumbling fool. Like a bumbling fool was, you know, Mr. Smee, but Captain Hook was pretty conniving. The best representation of Captain Hook was, I can't remember the name of the actor, but gosh, he's gorgeous. I love him. I met him in person and I told him that I don't care what he's done, but in the movie Peter Pan, which I think came out in 2008 or something, it was beautiful. It was absolutely beautiful. I can't remember the name of the actor. He played Lucius Malfoy. No, not Dustin Hoffman. I don't like that one. Not Dustin Hoffman. I'm going to find the actor. The actor was gorgeous. And he was played by, who was he played by? Jason Isaacs. Jason Isaacs. And I met Jason Isaacs at one of those conventions. Oh my gosh. I was stunned. First of all, I went up to him and I was really shy because I was like, I didn't buy money. I didn't pay any money to get a picture or anything. He goes, that's okay. There was nobody there. I was like the first one there. So he literally just like shook my hand and talked to me. And I told him how fascinated I was with his work, you know, and I asked him, how does he feel? Because he kind of always ends up playing a villain. And he goes, you know what? It's a lot. He's played good guys and villains, and I have to agree, it's a lot more fun playing a villain. So, anybody else? Nobody else wants to join me on the stream. Oh well. I tried. Is the sound too loud of the rocking of the? Let's see. I love Rufio. I know, Jack, I'm sorry. I don't like that movie. I watched it maybe once in my whole lifetime because I really didn't like the movie at all. I did not like the continuation of Peter Pan in that manner. I don't feel like, not that I feel my book is that much better, but I really like, I've shown my book to a couple of people, and one of them was actually a teacher and a child psychologist, and she loved the whole storyline. It's almost like an, you know, Adam and Eve and, you know, Garden of Eden kind of storyline where Wendy is like the new Eve and she does something that kind of breaks I guess the powers of Neverland. Does anybody want to know anything else? I actually did a lot of research. I did 2 years of research after I wrote this first chapter, I did 2 years of research into the book Peter Pan, into the writer. It's okay. I forgive you too, Jack. I really don't like Hook. I don't like that movie at all. I love Wendy Darling. I do love Wendy Darling. She's great. But I did a lot of research into James Barrie, the original author of Peter Pan. I read, I don't know, like 3 or 4 novels of his. And Finding Neverland is a horrible representation of who that man was. The man was probably 5'2". He was very shy. He did not look like Johnny Depp. Sorry to tell you, people. No. Yes, she played Maggie. Maggie Smith was played by Wendy. I mean, Maggie Smith played Wendy Darling. Yes. what else was I going to say? But actually, I was so much, I got so into reading that I was reading one of the biographies of James Barrie, and somehow I got in touch with the author and just said, just sent him a few notes of my own. And he was fascinated, and he asked me what I was working on, and I showed him a couple this, and probably like, oh, Doug, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, thank you, Doug. I love you, Doug. Oh, thank you. So anyway, so it was wild because I sent him like my first 5 chapters, and he liked it so much, and he actually wrote back to me, and he sent me an email, and he said, please tell me whenever you're in London again. I would be more than pleased to meet with you. And I'm like, London? And he's like, yes, you're British, aren't you? And I'm like, no, I'm a Cuban girl from Miami. And he said, shiver me timbers. I don't think I ever watched Finding Neverland. Don't, because it's a beautiful story. Actually, no, it's a very nice story, but it's a story somewhat based on the author, but the author was like 5'3". He was very shy. He had a lot of issues, and a lot of people say, oh, he was a pedophile. It wasn't that he was a pedophile. The problem was he couldn't really grow up. He was both Hook and Peter Pan in one character, strangely enough. The one thing he always wanted to be was a father, and the one thing he couldn't do because he was barren, I suppose. Him and his wife could never have, just never had children. So that's why he took it upon himself to, gather up these children. I can't remember their names right now. Oh my gosh. So anyway, so I thought it was really cool that the author invited me to tea in London, and I was like, I'm in Miami. I don't think I'll be in London anytime soon. But, we kept in touch now and then. So, Doug, I am so touched. This is incredible. You guys are amazing. So I don't know what else to do with you guys. No crafting today, just crafting a story. And yeah, send me comments as to what you liked, what you didn't like, what you would like to see. If you like Peter Pan, what was one thing you always wanted to know? Ask me questions, because as I did. Yes, I know that Robin Williams died a long time ago. Not that long ago, sweetie. It's probably like 5 or 7 years. Not that long ago. But if you have any questions on James Barrie and Peter Pan, let me know. So what's a perpetual, and I guess I'll just continue with this. So why is it so easy for people like Disney to write stories about Alice in Wonderland and other stories? It's because there is once after 50 years, unless there is a perpetuation of copyright protection, there is no, you can write whatever you want. The problem with Peter Pan is that James Barrie was such a generous man. He actually gave the rights to Peter Pan to the Great Ormond Street Hospital in London. So the Great Ormond Street Hospital in London still exists, so they still receive royalties based on anything Peter Pan. And I hope they don't come after me for this, because this is like fan fiction. And yeah, if that's the case, then I have to give you I don't know, 10% of the $5. So I'll give them 50 cents. I don't know. I'll give them a donation. But yeah, so I actually had a couple of agents look at my work. They liked it. They thought it was promising. They wanted to market it as young adult fiction. I thought it was more adult fiction. I don't know where it would fall. There's nothing in the story that would make it an adult fiction novel, I guess. But definitely young adult, late teens. So, because it is very, not graphic, but there's a lot of symbolism and, a lot of psychology going on in it. I'm looking up there, even though that camera's not working. It's this camera now. I'm stupid. I'm looking at the old camera. Sorry, I'm looking over your head. So it makes my eyes look scarier. I forgot that the camera that I was originally working just got disconnected. I don't know what happened there. So, any other questions? Anything at all? No? All right. Well, I guess we shall end this. What say you? What say you all? I'm just making it a little brighter. I can't see what you said, Juffernicker. Can't see what Leah said. My daughter's show choir theme last year was based on Peter Pan. Wow. Do I love Tinkerbell? Well, I don't know. Tinkerbell is, nobody in this book is really as good as everybody makes them out, because Tinkerbell wanted to kill Wendy. Let's get to the brass tacks. In the book, Tinkerbell's whole purpose was trying to kill Wendy because she was jealous, because James Barrie portrayed women in a different way with each of the female characters. Same thing with the mermaids. Everybody's like, oh, the mermaids are so cute. No, the mermaids tried to kill Wendy. And mermaids historically are, killers. Except for this story, if you caught my drift there. But why am I looking at that camera? I should look here. I keep looking at that camera. I was training myself to look at the other camera all day, so I would do it right. But now I'm looking at you guys. So mermaids are vicious, deadly, evil things, and so are fairies. If you know anything about fairies in history. I would love to hear more. Really? Okay, well, I will see when we do another chapter. I want to edit my chapter. I just found this book. It had been lost for almost 10 years. Yes, from Disney. Disney owns the rights to Peter Pan. So I don't want to go up against Disney, but I don't think there's anything wrong with me reading a story I wrote, fan fiction. Hey, they come after me, they come after me. What can I do? Anyway, guys, good night. Thank you so much. And let me see if maybe a week or two, I will bring you the second chapter. I want to look at it and make sure it's okay and edit it. But yeah, I liked it. It's really interesting. So I don't know if we want to read all 40 chapters. Maybe I'll read the first 5 and that's it, and leave you hanging. Good night, guys. And I'm looking at the wrong camera again, because Luke kept telling me to look at the right camera. So I'm looking at you guys. Farewell, all of you out there. Thank you so much for joining me on my ship. Here, let me lighten there we go. There's my ship. Rocking back and forth on my ship. So good night, all of you. Take care. God bless and keep well. Thank you to Doug Grimes for being my second super chat. This is amazing. Thank you so much. God bless. Good night to you all. Oh, this is wonderful. Thanks. Bye.